Hello, good morning, and welcome to the beginning of a new week on the renovation project. Today I'm going to be doing some more plastering in the small room where we've already done a few plastering experiments, some of which were on camera and some of which were off camera. And today I'm going to bring you up to speed on our new and improved plastering method, or more specifically a new plastering mix for our hemp lime plaster. We're also hopefully going to get to doing some lime washing as well in this video, but we'll have to see how things go because of drying times and stuff like that. But that is the plan. We're going to do some more plastering, and by the end of this week we should have one room completely finished with plaster on all 4 walls, which will be a big achievement and perhaps cause for a small celebration. So if you've seen any other of our plastering videos, or probably anybody else's, you may know that the plastering is done in a series of stages. There's the scratch coat, the float coat, and then 2 top coats that go on the top. Now we're using hemp in our plaster for many reasons that we've discussed before, but it's mostly because it's a really light material to work with. It can go on quite thick and it really sticks together. Because it's very fibrous, you have much less cracking. And because it can go on quite thick, we're able to hide a lot of our electrics and plumbing and stuff like that inside of the walls without having to have it surface mounted. So far we've experimented with a couple of different mixes for the float coat. One where I added hemp and lime and water, which was a bit too fibrous to be applied with a trowel. And then the other one we tried was just lime and sand, but it was quite a coarse sand and it didn't really give a nice smooth result for putting the top coat over. But since that, I have done some more experimentation and some more plastering, and I've come up with a much better ratio for the float coat in particular. And that is 2 buckets of lime, 1 bucket of hemp, and 1 bucket of fine sand. And this creates a really nice, light, almost like soft serve ice cream-like texture, which goes on still quite thick, but it goes on really nicely with a trowel. And so that's what we're going to use today. And I'll mix a bit up and we'll get some on the wall. So for those of you keeping score, that was 2 buckets of hydrated lime, 1 bucket of water, 1 bucket of hemp shiv, and 1 bucket of fine sand. I'm going to let this sit for a minute. I'll put a cover on it because it's very, very warm and sunny today. That just allows the hemp to soak up any excess moisture, and I may need to add a little bit more water just to get the right consistency before we start putting it on the wall. So I'm going to have a coffee and then join you very shortly. So this is what I mean by really light and fluffy and kind of Mr. Whippy soft servy ice cream like. It is a really weird material, and it's amazing how much difference a bit of the fine sand has made. And I can only imagine it's because the sand is so fine, it kind of fills in some of the gaps between the lime and the hemp and just makes it a slightly more light and workable material rather than one that looks like it's, you know, full of twigs and sticks and stuff. So it still goes on pretty thick. I mean, that is kind of holding its own weight, and that must be about 6 centimeters, maybe even more. So that's why it's a really nice material to work with. Brilliant. So a couple of things have changed since we were last plastering in this room. For one, I've done the big wall, and that's where I experimented with this new mix. We don't have a video for that one, but we do have a video for all the other plastering that's happened in here so far. But something that Kylie did recently was build this temporary window frame so that we've got something that is like a nice clean straight edge to plaster up to. Eventually this temporary frame will be removed and we'll be putting in a proper one with some double glazing in it, but that is going to be some time away. But we're going to be doing something like this with temporary window frames and temporary door frames in all the other places so that we can crack on with the plastering and just retrofit the doors and windows when we work out how to build all of those. So it turns out going around window frames is actually quite difficult. I've always had trouble doing the corners of the rooms and trying to get a nice neat edge, but around the windows is particularly tricky. Also because it's quite small and my trowel's quite big, so I might try a couple of different kinds of trowel just to see if that helps. I'm fairly confident I can get it smoother using the sponge float or just using a paintbrush with some water on it. But yeah, that was not easy. But I've got many more to do, so I'll probably improve eventually. Well, it's not perfect, but the combination of the paintbrush and the sponge float is definitely helping to smooth around the window frame a little bit, which is good. It's also good that we're not going for 100% flat, smooth, straight walls. We want to keep some of the rustic charm of the stone building. Hello, welcome back. It's a new day and it's time for a new mix, and this time it's for our top coat. So this is just lime and the fine sand, the same fine sand that I used yesterday. The ratio that I've been using is 2 buckets of hydrated lime to 1 bucket of sand. When that hydrated lime has water added to it, it kind of reduces in volume a little bit, but it makes a nice, really thick, rich, creamy paste. And so that gives me my pretty much 1-to-1 ratio of sand to lime putty. Now, something that may be worth mentioning is all of the books and all of the research that I've done about lime plastering say do not use hydrated lime powder from the builder's merchant. Ideally, you want to use lime putty that has been maturing for months and months and months and months. And maybe that's true. Maybe it is better when it's been turned into putty and matured for some time. Chemically speaking, it is identical. The one thing it hasn't had is time to mature. We've had no issues, no cracking, no problems with plaster delaminating or falling off the wall or anything like that. So far so good. Let's go again. We're almost done. Yep. Windows are hard. Very fiddly. So it's time to get a second opinion. Okay, I'm going to stop fiddling now. Hi, would you like to pass judgment on my work?
Oh, there's a big hole in the wall. 2. What's that? Grass.
Huh?
What is that in there?
No, there's a bit of stone that sits proud.
Oh, okay. He did a good job there, didn't he?
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, it looks good, huh?
You're comparing all the walls.
Yes. To see if this one is your best one yet. It's pretty good, huh? I think when we putty it...
You mean line wash it?
Oh, there's a hole there.
Well, you know, I've got to give you something to complain about.
Oh no. What do you think?
I'm very tired. I didn't enjoy it as much as the last one.
Did you know? That's because I've got a window in it.
The window was definitely quite tricky.
Tick. Next.
Yes, it is something else ticked off the list. And the reason that we couldn't do this wall before, when I did the other one, is because we were waiting for some information about the heat pump. That is like our main focus for the foreseeable future, is doing all the things that we need to be ready to have the heat pump installed. And we knew that there needed to be a hole in the wall for all of the connections. I don't exactly know what all the connections are, but there's power and there's refrigerant lines and stuff like that. And it took us months to get an answer out of somebody who could tell us what we actually needed, the size and the location and stuff like that, so that it was in the right place. But we have that hole, we have the wall plastered, we've got our temporary window in to give us something to plaster up to. Unfortunately, we're probably going to damage some of that when we remove that temporary window and put the real window in, but that's just something that we can fix close to the time. But yeah, this is another one ticked off the list. And now Kylie is going to explain why I was wrong to say that we might also be doing some lime washing in this video.
So above this room is the only room where we have not ripped off the cement off the walls, the cement render. And we have this haphazard floor going on. And it would be silly to lime wash this wall and put a heat pump in and put all our solar gear in here and then go and do that work upstairs, because the chances of something falling down...
Well, because we're going to rip up the floor, put a new floor down and rip a whole load of stuff off the walls.
So we're going to go and do all of that first. So we're going to put in a subfloor so that nothing down here gets damaged when we do more ripping out stuff up there. So that's next-ish on the agenda. It's one of the next things on the critical path to heat pump.
So I think we're going to leave it here for this video. It is just another plastering video. And I think we probably shouldn't underplay the fact that we now have one room in this house that has been completely plastered from start to finish. All four, in some cases 4 coats. It is no mean feat, even though this is something that you may have seen us do before. But stick around for next week where we're going to be doing something else. We're not exactly sure what yet. But thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Bye bye.